My name's Jeff Strong, and I'm the Public Works Director for the town. I've worked here for a long time, worked for the Water and Sewer Department, and I kind of inherited this from my predecessor before me. I've been in touch with Meg, and we've talked about this project, and a little background on what happened here and how Pedden Acres got to be. Some people may already know that. This was farmland. This was the Pedden farm. The White House up here on the side was the original farmhouse. This was all farmland through the early 1900s. At some point in time, they developed a gravel pit up here. That's why the topography of this place is pretty flat. There was a lot of gravel taken out of here, probably an awful lot of gravel, in the late 50s when River Street was built down here.
Here? Right where we're standing?
Right where we're standing. This was all
Yes.
gravel pit.
Oh.
So this is well-drained soil. This is excellent soil as far as drainage goes, and a place to have a rain garden, a place for your water to drop out. So the development that was originally started up here was started in the early 60s, and it was permitted as Pedden Acres. And what it called for were the houses on this side of the road, White Birch Court on the other side. As you'll notice in White Birch Court, there is drainage over there. There's a storm drain system that all ends up down at the end of the swale as Pedden Road comes up and ends up down on the state highway. Prior to Act 250, there was a big push to expand Pedden Acres development, and they were allowed to build new houses here. I don't know, what program. They didn't have to go through any program. They built them and got this all set up prior to any Act 250 in the early 70s and any town zoning. So originally, all there were houses on this side of the road. Nothing over there. If you look out behind these houses, there's a big swale. Yeah. That swale was supposed to take all the drain water, and it was supposed to go that way. As you go down to the end of the street, when you leave, you'll see there's a big concrete drainage structure down there that takes very little water except for what comes off the back of those houses. So this whole area was filled, and it was almost filled too much. And we complain about there are rules and regulations for what we all have to do. Well, that's what happened here. There was no rules, there was no regulations. It was filled up over there, just for that house across the street. You're getting all the roof water off from there. Their rain gutters run down, fall on the driveway. So all that drainage is coming this way.
What do you mean by filled up? You mean with soil, or what do you mean by filled up?
There was a big depression, and it was drainage, so they put fill in it.
Oh.
They put gravel in to level it off.
Oh, wait a minute, was the depression man-made?
Yeah, it was made for drainage, and then
the developers filled it in?
And then they filled it in. This was pre-Act 250. This was late 60s, early 70s. Everybody was in a rush to build before the regulations.
Who put the swale in?
The developer, the original developer.
The original developer.
But there was no oversight of these people at the time. You were able to do just about as you please. And that's why the lack of planning created a situation that, it lasted for 40 years. And so after those houses were built, as you walk down through, and you can see a real good depression between Meg's house here, each one of these houses has a swale between each one of the houses, and it was made to spread the water out, and all the water was supposed to go down, everybody's water from there should go down that swale, the next one, and then what happens is the road settles, maybe the road gets paved, it changes the pitch just a little bit, and so in this case it's concentrated all of the water from that corner and actually some of it actually runs back, and Meg was getting all the water. And
that right there is the low point.
It's the low point on the street. Through whatever I at one point in time there was probably a tree or two cut on the bank, and nothing put back to hold that water back. Once the trees were cut, one stump washed out, one little place washed out, and then all of a sudden no place. The water was going to go to the easiest spot, and it washed out. I don't know the status of it prior to the flood. Probably was just a little tiny notch.
Oh yeah, there was. You mean the status of the hole?
Yeah,
it was a notch.
Just a little notch, and then after Irene, with all the water that happened down through there, it's turned it into
You can see.
ravine
You
it
can
is.
see
So-
when you
so
look at it how far.
that's kind of the background on how it got here. And I mean, when I first started talking to Meg, I went back to the town office, looked at the original plans, just happened to stumble onto the second set of plans for these other houses. And, you know, we shared that with the LCD, with insurance companies, with everybody else on how this ended up getting like this. The town has worked for a couple, 3 years now. We've secured some money through FEMA to put in, it's the end of the FEMA money, to put in a storm drain system on this street.
Now that's perforated pipe?
Starting from the corner, ending up down at the end. It'll be a mix of large plastic perforated pipe. There will be regular catch basins with large sumps to catch any of the sediment or anything. It becomes a maintenance item. It's something that we have to clean out every couple of years, come in and factor out the sediment. And so there'll be basins both sides of the road. There'll probably be some curbing on this side of the road to hold the water in, to keep it from getting away from the basins. It'll be a large perforated pipe. As I said, this is a gravel pit, so these are well-drained soils. So under normal circumstances, all the water should just infiltrate into the ground. If there is a very large storm event, there will be a high pipe that will allow the water to go out. We have to be very careful about how much water we can let out of that pipe, because we can't affect the drainage down on Route 11, because that's where this will all end up, is down in the state's right away. And the other good news for Meg, as I understand it, in the last few weeks, there's also secured, and I think it's ecosystem restoration money, to actually restore the washout. We've been working through this, saying we're going to put in a drain system, and everybody has kind of avoided because that was on private property. But I think it's all been worked out that there's going to be a restoration project to be able to restore that.
And the Brat's going to work with neighbors that are interested on other private.
And I'll be honest with you, I kind of, when you first, you know, but the more I came up here and looked at the, you know, effective rain gardens and people just managing their own runoff to keep it from being out in the public right away.
Yeah.
And then that, once it's in the public right away, it's all our problems, because we're all going to pay for it. We're lucky this is funded through a grant. There is some local match. There'll probably be about $100,000 that the town will have to come up with. But once we make a private problem a public problem, then we all end up, all the taxpayers end up paying for it. So the good news is there's an answer to this problem. It's been going on for a long time, ever since the flood, but it's going to be fixed, and it really shows that planning and the right kind of development saves a lot of money. The people that did all, they're dead, they're gone, they don't, you know.
You made your money.
And the little something is that Meg mentioned, you know, obviously she says this place could not be sold.
Oh, property values.
It's gonna, you know,
It's not
rain
just
garden.
mine. It's the
Yeah.
whole entire
But rain
development.
gardens are beautiful. I mean, they can really add to the property value. So it's a
But
real win.
in rain gardens, the rain barrels, whatever, just the idea of trying to manage your own footprint to not let it come out into
Smaller
the
pieces
public
of the
That's
bigger
right
what I'm
puzzle.
trying to get at, is the idea that we're all part of the watershed, and any water that we hold on our own properties is not going down to flood that river.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
Or pollute
Yeah.
that river.
Yes.
Or
It's going to
whatever.
be tough to go against me.
Yeah.
It's not my problem.
And one
Yep.
of the things up here is there is a municipal water system. That's the other thing. When this development was put in, there's no municipal sewer.
Right.
Every one of these houses has a septic system.
Because when they came into the area, the original people voted up here
I've heard
to
that.
do the private parent,
Yes.
the private ones. My in-laws are probably one of the first or second houses that were here
Yeah.
because they bought it from their relatives.
Yeah.
So this was all baseball field park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kids played,
Yeah.
but they did. They voted, and we think it's terrible because we live here and we would like to be on town sewer.
Well, it's all right. It's all fine until your
Right.
septic
Wheel this
system
to the front of the
fails.
right,
Like
and
about
it's
your
like-
tank is
and
gone.
it's
Yeah.
You won't want
Alright,
to
it's like-
See a lot of
It's
traffic.
like, why did they
We've
ever
seen
do
3,
that?
but okay.
Yeah, and I think over the course of time, there's been surveys of people, and no one So
Right.
you know,
It's like,
anyway.
what were
I-
they thinking?
probably
was
by
just going
municipal
on,
ordinance,
a
the
little bit
town
ago
could come
about
up
the,
and put in
history
sewer and
Right.
make
and
everybody
that
hook
there
up to it,
used to be
but
a large
they're never gonna get their money
pit
back,
Right.
and the water and
And
sewer
they
ratepayers are the ones that are gonna have to pay for it.
I think they tried that.
for stormwater from those
Yes.
houses to
Everybody
run
does
down
their
them.
own.
And they have done so
What is a
very
lot size?
effectively.
You can see where it's
They
happening.
vary.
They
Wow.
vary.
From quarter
Like,
to.
So it's been
mine's
going on for
3/4.
50,
Mine,
60
my,
years.
our lot size probably is a little bit smaller than my mother-in-law's, but it's hard to tell because they adjoin. Our house is in the front, theirs is on the back street. So it's like a huge
You
lot.
asked me for an ID up here one day, didn't you?
I didn't ask you for an ID.
Yeah, you did. You wanted to know
Who
what
are
it was,
you?
but that was
Right.
when I was with the insurance people. That
Right.
was when we
Well,
first
Somebody's
started
like
walking
putting
around.
posts up on my front lawn. I was
funny.
like, what are you doing out there?
Yeah.
I was like, who are you?
Yeah, well, that's fine. That's,
Where
that's-
does the water, you said the water's coming down the next house from that end? What about this end? What happens at this end?
well, the water,
There's a huge,
Catch basin.
yeah,
right,
there's a,
there's a huge
once
puddle
it gets
ours and down
around,
the peg.
once it gets around the corner, it sheets off and there's a
Right.
large catch basin down there. But pretty much you can see this road almost lifts up till you get to that corner.
So it is,
And
it's
so
converging from both
so it's
sides.
kind of coming from both sides.
Yeah, that's
If a little bit of it can sheet off up
Yeah.
here, and then make she put some sandbags up, or Kelly, or however the sandbags. So the sandbags worked for Meg and for your operation here, but in a heavy one of those gully washers in the summer, it pushed it down in between the next two mailboxes down there, and it pushed it over the bank, just up a little ways farther by the nursery school right there.
Best thing I ever did because it gets those people.
It really got the ball
bottom, and it
rolling,
got
and
the
then
ball rolling.
yeah.
And as husband said, I
Yeah.
told you to do that 3
I
years
don't
ago.
see anybody here.
Your neighbor that
Huh?
fell down. Your neighbor fell down in his, I
Right,
believe, in
yeah.
his backyard, and Jay Lavoie had to go.
Yeah,
The ambulance had to go to get him up.
But that
because
was nothing to do with the water.
It was the unsure footing and on that back hill, because it would just.
Crumble away.
I go down the hill all the time. I mean, for an 80
Well,
or a 92-year-old
right.
guy, it's
Yeah, it was
But
not.
they
It's
said,
not
but
staying.
they had said it
Yeah.
felt like it was unsure footing because it was so
Yeah,
moist.
And you drive up here, you look at all these houses now, it's hard to envision that this was at one time a farm, it was one time a gravel
Yeah,
pit.
because that was the
And,
original
and,
farmhouse.
and the topography of
Yeah.
the gravel
Lockwood.
pit probably
It was a
made
Lockwood farm.
it pretty flat. It probably was a, with hills. and
You think this
rolling.
was higher when before they took the gravel out?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This
So we
was
were
higher.
standing another 2 feet
Yeah.
up or something?
Oh, there was a lot of gravel taken out of here apparently.
Hey
Yeah,
Jeff,
it was-
I
This was
met
one of the-
somebody,
It was a
Dennis
gravel pit.
Vajiski, who
I mean,
lives
that's
over
what it
on
was.
Parker Hill. He spent his boyhood up here.
Yeah.
He was raised up here.
Yeah.
He has recollections of going
Yeah.
around and fishing and all
Yeah,
this stuff,
yeah.
gardening around the field, so he could maybe fill you in on the
Yeah,
history.
'cause
of it.
this was
it
all
wasn't that
this was
long
all,
ago.
all open
Let's see if
open
I can-
land, yeah, until
50.
the 60s.
50 years
Yeah.
ago, it was still.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, they bought it from, it was a relative of my in-laws
Yeah.
that owned the property up here, and they sold it by different lot sizes, and this was
And
all.
that's
they-
probably where some
They have
of
an
the-
old postcard that, because the reason why that's white birch is there was
All
white
white
birch
birch.
all along.
And
there
so
was
you have
nothing.
Lockwood Road because there were the Lockwoods, and there
Right,
was a
'cause
Pedden
that was the
farm.
Lockwood-
It was
Lockwood
kind of
farm,
the whole
yeah.
place was named after the
Right,
people that
right,
that
correct.
owned property up there.
Correct.
Do we want to segue over and see what it's done?
All I can say is don't get too
Careful of the
close to it.
landmines.
Wa-
Be careful of
yes,
the landmines.
watch for the dog
Interesting
landmines.
to compare it to the photo I took last
Oh
fall.
yeah,
No.
yeah.
Try to get on the same angle and see how they
That,
compare.
exactly. That would be good. I can hear him in there.
Little dog.
Yes.
We do step in.
It's
I was gonna say,
ironic
it should be
that-
pretty
It's rather
small.
ironic that there's this guy selling dirt down at the other end of this
I
gully.
know. I don't know how clean his clean fill is gonna be. Wow, that has widened dramatically since the last time I
I
was
think
here.
you were standing about
Yeah.
10 feet over there where it's now space.
Watch your step. Watch your step.
Watch out here.
Wow. Yep.
Lots of landmines back here.
Yep.
How's that the landmine?
Yeah.
I don't blame you. That's impressive.
So what's the property down below here?
It's a lot that is rented by, I believe, Mark Bushway, and he sells clean fill.
Oh.
And then just downstream, a little to the left, is the the diner. And not too far from, and there's a little wet area behind the diner, and then not too far from that is Carly Brook.
How come they were taking all those trees down? Is that gonna come, they're
That I don't know. You mean on that
Yeah.
bank? I saw that, but like behind the 371?
Yeah.
well,
yeah.
down,
yeah.
down farther too by the cemetery all along
And I thought
there.
they were
Oh,
actually
yeah.
up higher than their line.
Yeah,
I
I
live right next to that. My line
Yeah.
goes down probably 30 feet from the end.
Yeah.
They were about 30 feet from the top.
yeah, the ones behind 371 I don't have any idea about, but the ones
maybe-
along
yeah.
River Street, all I can think of is to prevent them from falling on the lines.
Yeah.
Clearing the canopy above
But
the
again,
lines,
talk
maybe.
about planning, huh?
Yeah.
They'll never get the wires down. Oh, yeah, they will when the whole
So-
goddamn hill goes
Exactly,
down.
because there's no tree roots holding it up anymore.
Have
Yep.
the plans been worked out for what's going to actually happen here, or is that
I
still
think that is
in the process?
still in the process. The funding has to happen, and then if you get the design and then you get the funding, your design may change by the time the funding comes through.
They should make it
So-
the Springfield Canyon. Make it a
See,
tourist
just like
area.
Queechee Gorge. There you go. Catch it during high flow, and it'll be just you can go tubing, whitewater rafting right down to the river.
I wonder how far away that is from taking a house out. Looks pretty.
Well,
it gets more difficult now. I would
Yeah.
think, doesn't it?
It's within-
This falls in the fill right back up right here.
It's within. I gotta find out from Meg how far her leach field is from that edge, but it's pretty
There
close.
can't be much.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room.
There was
And
a
it-
swimming pool there.
It's on the other side. That's been closed up, removed, done. Not there anymore. That's your leach field? Where's the edge, do you think?
Pretty close to there.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe you can see it if you look in there.
Yeah,
good.
right. Some nice rich looking soil there.
Yeah.
Sandbags put in.
Did those fall in?
No, they were placed there. There were some sandbags that I had put at the edge.
Oh, okay.
They were at the edge of the property, and it looks like my neighbor took them off from the front and put them here. They kind of collapsed after 2 years.
I see that in the. It's actively undercutting. That looks like pretty fresh soil from the edge.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. You can stand here and watch it trickle down.
Yep.
Without any, just a breeze.
Good thing we're not
I could've
in.
sworn last fall you were over there, Kelly.
Yeah.
Standing over there.
Oh,
Yep.
really? Last
Yeah,
fall?
it has backed up a good 15 feet
Oh, yeah. Oh,
since last
easily.
fall.
And we haven't had any major Irenes.
You do realize it was at the edge there, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm
Realizes it went all the way out there?
Yeah.
I'm seeing the fence posts too. I remember when those were all actually in your yard.
Somebody was wondering what that whitish stuff down there. He thought it looked like something they would put in a septic system.
Like way down here on the left.
Ash. I'm going to tell you it's ash from their fireplace or their pellet stove. Yes.
Okay. So that's not like a vein of something.
No. I don't think so.
Yeah, they're probably going to the edge and dropping. But that tree was vertical the last time I was here.
I think so.
Oh, I'm sorry. I backed right into you.
No, it's not.
Yeah, the photos will be very interesting to try to compare.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think the first plan of attack is to.
Those there, you have those in a past photo.
Yep.
Still in the same thing.
They should be. Yeah, I don't think they've moved them. They've just let them fall as they go. But I think the first plan of attack is to stop the water from coming in and making it worse,
Yeah.
which we're going to try to get going with a rain garden and talking with neighbors about rain gardens and rain barrels. And then the ERP grant with trying to build that up from the bottom. Because you get to the bottom after a big storm and it's like 3 feet of mud that's come from here.
Yeah.
More clean fill, but once our leach field hits it, it's not going to be so clean. Okay, and I'm actually probably going to stop right here.